For the past several years, I have leaned pretty much exclusively into advertising on Instagram to grow as an artist on Spotify and to help other artists grow on Spotify. But this hasn't stopped me from seeing a lot of ad campaigns run by other artists using Spotify's own native ad platform. Now, I personally have never used Spotify's native ad platform to advertise my own music. I have just seen far too many campaigns from other people, and the results across the board every single time have been bad. So I've always thought to myself, well, why waste the money? The evidence is there. There's no reason for me to go and test this. But I decided recently that because this whole channel and because my whole sort of ethos is about testing stuff, I thought I would just spend $250 on an ad campaign inside of Spotify's own ad platform just to see what happens. From March 13th until April 13th of this year, I ran a 30-day test basically, and I spent $250 on ads to promote my music on Spotify within Spotify's own native audio ad environment. Now, at the same time, I ran 2 other campaigns so that we would have something to compare this against. I ran a traffic campaign on Meta just on Instagram, and I ran a conversion campaign on Meta just on Instagram. So we have 3 different data sets to compare here for all 3 of these campaigns. So let's start in the first place with the setup. Now, first up are the details for my ad campaign that I ran inside of Spotify's ad platform. Underneath the ad details section here, you can see I used the music placement. The format was audio. I did desktop, Android, iOS, media and entertainment. And here's the part that really kind of matters the most, right? As an aside, in Spotify's ad platform, you can't target like a band and a genre and an affinity. You have to pick a category and then a subcategory, and you can only target inside of that thing, which already I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid. I would like to be able to target this band and this genre and this affinity to figure out where my fan base is, because it might be here or there, but you can't do that. So anyway, I selected what I thought would be the best option here, and I went with just bands. So I started out targeting big bands like Illenium and Linkin Park, and then I targeted some sort of middle level bands related to them like Seven Lions, Said the Sky, We Are Fury. And then I targeted bands that appeared on like my radio playlist for similar artists to me that Spotify was already associating me with. Basically what I did is I went through Tom DuPree the Third Radio, and I picked out bands with songs or artists with songs that I thought were a good representation of the genres and music that I wanted to be affiliated with, and decided to target their fans as well. So that's where you get stuff like Mike Hawkins and Despotum, if I'm saying that correctly. We Are Fury was on there as well. And then I targeted my own existing listeners and fans too. So I did all languages. I only targeted people in the United States of America, ages 18 to 34. You can see I spent $250 from March 13th to April 13th. Now let's hop over to the traffic campaign. So in the traffic campaign here on Meta, this will look probably more familiar to most of you. I'm only targeting people in the United States, 18 to 44 in this one. I was just trying something different. I targeted multiple DSPs, Amazon, Apple, Deezer, Spotify, YouTube, and then multiple options within there. So bass music, dubstep, electronic dance music, electronic gaming monthly, electropop, gaming, IGN, Seven Lions, trap, and video game. And then thirdly, let's check out the setup for the conversion campaign. In the conversion campaign, again, some slight variation, targeted Australia, Canada, UK, and the US, 18 to 34, just like the Spotify ad campaign. And then the detailed targeting is exactly the same as the traffic campaign. So same DSPs, same collection of interests and stuff like that. So with all 3 of these campaigns, I'm basically targeting people in the United States. In the conversion campaign, the overwhelming majority of the results were from the US, so I still consider this a pretty fair comparison. Yeah, there's a little bit of age difference, stuff like that. But the meat and potatoes of the setup is the same for all 3 of these. Also, I want to note that I used a different song for every campaign, or at least a collection of them. I wanted to use different tracks so that I could more easily distinguish what's working from what's not on the Spotify for Artists side. Though, as you'll see, what happens on Spotify for Artists is very, 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 very much secondary to what actually happened inside the ad campaigns. Honestly, what happened in Spotify for Artists is a little bit irrelevant. I shouldn't really say that. Like, obviously it matters, but the difference in the campaigns is so stark that what happened on Spotify for Artists is apparent no matter what. So let's hop into the campaign results. So the first thing we're going to look at here is the results for the Spotify campaign. So you can see I had 36,000 impressions. We'll skip over reach, not a big deal. Frequency is normal. Completion rate is really good. So they're watching almost 90% of the video every single time, or listening to 90% of the ad rather. But then we get to the end, 157 clicks and a click-through rate of 0.43%. Now, some quick math will reveal that 157 clicks for $250 equals a cost per click of about $1.59, which is absolutely terrible. So continuing on, if we come down to the average CPM of the campaign, you would think that the high cost per click would be because I'm only targeting the United States and I'm only targeting a few bands. And so the CPM is going to be higher because I have a more specific defined audience and the cost is just going to go up, right? No, not the case. The average CPM is $6.81, which, as we'll see in a second, is actually less than the CPM for both campaigns that I'm running on Meta. And despite the lowest CPM, I also had the lowest click-through rate and the highest cost per click. Now, before you say, Tom, what about the ad creative? What about the song? All of my ads look virtually identical because the cover art is virtually the same and the songs are virtually the same. They're very similar. I make a very kind of specific genre of music. All three songs have a lot of similar characteristics to them. When it comes to Spotify's audio ads specifically, I basically did what they asked me to do. I read the script that they suggested. I used two versions of an ad, one with a canvas that has some motion and is actually a video, and then one with the cover art. So I did a split test there. None of it seemed to matter. And then lastly, let's get down here to the final results for this Spotify campaign, and then we'll move on to Meta. Listener conversion rate. So total new listeners, 25 for $250. That's $10 a listener. And then a listener conversion rate of new listeners of 0.08%. Now, got average of 3.3 streams out of the new listeners. That's great. So clearly when they got there, they listened to more than one song, which is ideal. So the song, when they got there, did the work and they listened to more than one track. So once they got to my catalog, they were interested. However, they just didn't really get there to begin with. Okay, so now let's look at some results on Meta for comparison to the Spotify campaign. We'll start with this traffic campaign at the top. I have the same date range selected here, March 13th through April 13th. Inside the traffic campaign, 423 link clicks compared to 157. 38 cents per click compared to $1.59. I had 20,000 impressions, actually far lower impressions. I think the Spotify campaign had, 36,000? Yeah, 36,000 something impressions. 20,000 for the traffic campaign. The average CPM was $7.81, which is higher than the Spotify campaign. And I actually spent less money. I only spent $5 a day on this, so $160 all told, instead of the $250 spend that I spent on the Spotify campaign. And then I had a click-through rate of 2.07%, which is like 5 times what it was on Spotify. The click-through rate just blows it out of the water. And then if we compare that to the conversion campaign, we had 312 website views content, 51 cents per view content, 15,000 impressions, 10.26 was the CPM, $10.26, the exact same pretty much amount spent at about $160. For comparison, 352 link clicks compared to 423 for the traffic campaign, compared to 157 for the Spotify campaign. And then if we're comparing apples to apples, 45 cents a click for the conversion campaign, 38 cents a click for the traffic campaign. Again, $1.59 for the Spotify campaign. And then a 2.26% click-through rate for the conversion campaign compared to 2.07 compared to 0.43. So what's going on here? First of all, surface level response to this test. Spotify's audio ads are trash. I would not recommend using them. I do not think they work. Now, you can sit here and probably somebody's going to watch this video and you're going to say, well, this is just one test. This is just one song. And how do you know it wouldn't work with a different song? How do you know it wouldn't work with a different artist or genre? There are no guarantees in marketing. There are no guarantees in advertising. It might work for one of you. It might work for some of you. However, this campaign is indicative of literally every single campaign I have ever seen anyone else run to promote their music using Spotify's ad platform. I have never, ever seen good results out of this ad platform for an artist promoting their music on Spotify. And my belief is that it comes down to one very important thing and a couple of other details that I'll touch on as well. But the most important thing it comes down to is the way the app is designed and user behavior. When I'm using Instagram, when you're using Instagram, when anybody is using Instagram, you're doing this. You're looking at the phone, you're engaging with the phone. Your eyeballs, your entire attention is on the app when you're using it. When you're using Spotify, doesn't matter where the phone is. When I use Spotify at work, it's playing on the background of my computer. When I'm listening to it while I cook meals for my children and my wife, it's on the counter, or I'm playing it through my iPad, which is up on a bookshelf somewhere. It's very rare that I am using Spotify like this. It's almost unheard of for me personally. I'm sure there are other people who are up there scrolling and doing more stuff than me. But listening is not a visual, active experience where you're prepared to take action on something. Instagram as an app, the fabric of the app is designed to surprise you and delight you with content. And because the app is built upon surprise and delight, it is a more action-oriented app. You scroll, you see something, you're surprised, you're delighted, and then there's a call to action in there. It doesn't have to be an ad. It can be an organic post. Check out my profile, throw me a follow, whatever. Okay, I'll click through to the profile, action taken. It doesn't matter what the action is. You're going to do something, even if the action is to swipe to the next thing. Spotify, an audio app, is a passive experience. It is not built upon surprise and delight and then taking action. Yes, there's a big discovery component to Spotify. And yes, if you hear something that really delights you, you might scramble to pick up the phone and save that track. It absolutely does happen. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I do that all the time. However, from an advertising perspective, an audio ad is jarring to the listening experience. It's a very different thing if I'm listening to a song and then I hear a new song I've never heard before and I'm surprised and delighted. It's within the context of I'm listening. Oh, I'm going to like that one, and then we'll go to the next one. I'll like that one, whatever. It's the same type of media throughout. An audio ad goes from music to me talking, because Spotify won't let you create an ad without you talking in it, which I think is dumb, but that's the case. So I'm listening to a song. You get my ad with me talking, and you go, well, this is annoying. I don't want to hear this guy talk. I wouldn't want to hear it. Skip, or I have to listen to it because I'm a free user. And then I go to the next song. Well, thank God that's over, right? With Instagram, you're scrolling. If you see an ad, that's fine. Scroll. It's literally the exact same thing you were just doing. You were watching a video, you scrolled, you see another video, you don't like that, you keep scrolling. So fundamentally, it comes down to the fact that the app is not designed for people to take action on ads. And a couple of other things. Number one, you're only showing ads on Spotify to free users. I'm a premium user. I've literally never heard an ad in my life because I pay money for the platform. Which means you're only showing your ads to people who are probably not as apt to take action, especially any sort of attention or financial action on your ad, compared to somebody who has already shown that they want to spend money on stuff. And then secondly, Spotify is not going to create an ad experience that costs them money. They're going to create an ad experience that costs you money and me money. Instagram does not have a dog in the fight in terms of sending traffic to Spotify. They're taking our advertising dollars and then we're sending people off site. There is no return for that directly from Meta. Like, I'm not spending $5 on an ad and hoping I'll make $5.01 back from Meta. Meta doesn't pay out like that. Spotify pays out, but they're not going to design an ad experience where I spend $5 and I make $5.01 back. It's not going to happen. They're going to profit from this immeasurably compared to how I'm going to benefit from it. So the core functionality of the app, user behavior, coupled with the fact that we're only advertising to free users and the fact that Spotify is going to maximize returns at all costs, pardon the pun, means an ad experience for us as artists, which is effectively useless. Now, if you enjoyed this video and want to go deeper with topics just like this every single week, then I hope you'll subscribe to my newsletter, The One Thing. Every Tuesday, I send out one thing that I'm either thinking about or testing to help you improve your marketing and expand your audience as an artist and musician. So if you want to subscribe to that, I'll leave a link to do that in the description of this video. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.